Sleeping inside a house made of ice should freeze you solid within hours. Ice melts at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Basic physics says you are building your own freezer. Yet, for thousands of years, the Inuit have survived entire Arctic winters in structures made entirely of frozen water. They are not using heaters, electric blankets, or anything you would expect. What do they know about ice that modern science is just catching up to? Here's the thing about igloos. Most people think they are just ice huts that somehow work through sheer willpower and tradition. That view is wrong. An expertly built igloo maintains an interior temperature of 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the outside air. In minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit conditions, that's the difference between a meat locker and a livable space. No external heat source, no insulation materials, just frozen water and physics. The secret isn't the ice itself, it's what's trapped inside it. Snow is roughly 90% air, and air happens to be one of the best insulators on the planet. When you compact snow into blocks, you're essentially building walls out of millions of tiny air pockets. It's like constructing your house from natural bubble wrap. This bubble wrap can support your weight, and it keeps you alive at minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. But here is where it gets clever. The Inuit do not use just any snow. They hunt for what elders call good snow. Wind-packed snow that has been compressed naturally creates blocks with the perfect density. Too loose and your walls collapse. Too dense and you lose insulation value. One experienced igloo builder told me it is like Goldilocks, except the porridge determines whether you wake up tomorrow. The construction process follows rules that took generations to perfect. You start with blocks about the size of a microwave, cutting them in a spiral pattern that naturally creates a dome. Each block leans slightly inward, supported by the one below it. The final capstone block gets dropped through the top, creating a self-supporting structure that could last months. Engineering students spend semesters learning arch theory. The Inuit figured it out with life or death consequences. But here's where it gets interesting. The heat source warming your igloo isn't some hidden fire, it's you. Your body pumps out 100 watts of heat constantly, like a small space heater that never shuts off. In a well-built igloo, that's enough to maintain livable temperatures even when the Arctic tries to kill you. Snow walls absorb that body heat during the day and release it slowly at night, creating a thermal battery that keeps working while you sleep. Here's something that blows most people's minds. The inner surface of an igloo actually melts slightly from your body heat, then refreezes into a thin ice shell. This creates an even better vapor barrier that prevents moisture loss and strengthens the entire structure. You're literally living inside a self-improving house that gets stronger the longer you occupy it. Speaking of moisture, this is where survival gets tricky. Every breath you exhale contains water vapor, and in a sealed ice house, that moisture has to go somewhere. Expert igloo builders always include ventilation holes near the top and small air gaps near the entrance. Miss this detail, and you'll wake up in a fog bank that makes breathing difficult. One Inuit elder put it perfectly. The igloo breathes with you, or you stop breathing altogether. The sleeping platform makes all the difference between comfort and hypothermia. Cold air sinks, so the sleeping area gets built about 18 inches above the entrance level. This puts you in the warmest air pocket, while cold air pools harmlessly near the door. Smart igloo dwellers also lay seal skins or caribou hides on the platform. Direct contact with ice, even through sleeping bags, will suck heat from your body faster than you can produce it. But what happens when temperatures really plummet? That's when the oil lamp strategy becomes absolutely critical. A traditional kudlik burns seal oil and can maintain temperatures inside an igloo above freezing even when it's minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Modern survivalists substitute candles or small alcohol stoves, but the principle remains the same. About 4 ounces of burning oil produces enough heat for 8 to 10 hours of warmth in a properly constructed igloo. Here's what most survival guides get wrong about igloo heating. You don't need a roaring fire. You need controlled, consistent heat. Too much heat melts your walls and turns your shelter into a puddle. The ideal setup maintains just enough warmth to keep the interior at 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Sounds cold, but when it's minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside, that's beach weather. Now let's talk about the entrance situation. The traditional tunnel entrance is not just for show. Building your doorway below floor level creates a cold trap that keeps frigid air outside where it belongs. Warm air rises and stays inside, while dense cold air settles in the entrance tunnel. It is like having an automatic door that only lets warmth pass through. Pretty ingenious for technology that is older than written history. But here is where igloo construction gets dangerous if you do not know what you are doing. Structural collapse kills people every year, usually because someone skipped steps or used poor quality snow. Each block must be perfectly fitted to its neighbors. One loose block can trigger a cascade failure that brings the entire dome down on top of you. We are talking about several tons of compacted snow. That is not a gentle wake-up call. The tool requirements are surprisingly minimal. Traditional builders used bone knives, but a good snow saw or even a machete works fine for cutting blocks. Some survivalists swear by modified carpenter saws with larger teeth, designed for cutting through packed snow. The real skill is reading the snow conditions. Experienced builders can tell good building snow from worthless powder just by looking at it. Size matters more than you would think. A solo survival igloo needs about 6 feet of interior diameter to be effective. Go smaller and you do not have enough air volume to maintain temperature. Go much larger and your body heat cannot warm the space effectively. Family-sized igloos required multiple people to heat properly, which is why traditional Inuit communities built connected igloo complexes rather than oversized single structures. Here's something that surprised me about igloo living. You actually need to be careful not to overheat. In extreme conditions, people have suffered heat exhaustion inside igloos while it was minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The combination of physical insulation and body heat in a confined space can create surprisingly warm conditions. Experienced Arctic dwellers dress in layers they can remove as needed. The layering system inside an igloo follows specific principles that most people never consider. Your base layer needs to wick moisture away from your skin, even when you are sitting still. Traditional Inuit wore specially prepared animal skins that breathed while insulating. Modern equivalents include merino wool or synthetic materials designed for extreme cold. Cotton kills in these conditions because it holds moisture against your skin. But here's where clothing strategy gets really clever. Experienced igloo dwellers. Pre-warm spare clothes using body heat before putting them on. They will hold a spare shirt against their chest for 15 minutes, then quickly swap it for the one they are wearing. The warm fabric provides immediate comfort while their body heats up the next piece in rotation. Some folks cycle through 4 or 5 pieces throughout the night. Footwear deserves special attention because your feet are the first thing to go in extreme cold. Traditional mukluks use multiple layers, thin inner socks, thick wool outer socks, and boots designed with air gaps for insulation. Modern substitutes include vapor barrier systems where you actually put plastic bags between sock layers. Sounds ridiculous, but it works incredibly well. Maintenance becomes crucial for long-term survival. Small cracks need patching with fresh snow every few days. The entrance tunnel requires regular clearing to prevent ice buildup that could block your exit. Most people miss one detail. You need backup ventilation. Snow can shift and block air holes, creating a carbon dioxide buildup that is dangerous and hard to detect until it is too late. The daily maintenance routine includes checking wall integrity, clearing ventilation passages, managing moisture levels, and monitoring structural changes. Experienced igloo dwellers develop almost obsessive habits about these checks because small problems become life-threatening emergencies very quickly in Arctic conditions. One Inuit guide told me that the igloo talks to you every day. You just have to listen to what it is saying. Food storage inside an igloo follows physics principles that modern refrigeration mimics. The coldest zones near the entrance maintain temperatures well below freezing, perfect for preserving meat and fish. Moderate temperature areas prevent liquids from freezing solid while keeping them cool enough to stay fresh. The warmest zones near sleeping areas store items that need protection from freezing. The learning curve for igloo construction is steep, but the payoff is significant. An experienced builder can construct a survival shelter in 2 to 3 hours. A beginner might take all day and still end up with something that collapses overnight. Traditional Inuit children started learning construction techniques around age 8, practicing for years before they could build a reliable shelter. But here is where skill development gets really interesting. Master builders do not just know construction techniques. They understand snow meteorology, structural engineering, thermal dynamics, and even psychology. They can read weather patterns to predict when good building snow will be available. They understand load distribution better than many modern engineers. They know how to manage the mental challenges of confined living. The psychological aspects of igloo living cannot be ignored. Being sealed inside a small white dome can trigger claustrophobia in people who have never experienced it before. The walls seem to close in, especially during storms when you cannot leave for hours or days. Traditional families developed coping strategies including storytelling, games, music, and carefully organized daily routines that provided structure and mental stimulation. Equipment storage inside an igloo follows specific principles. Metal items conduct heat away from your body and should stay as far from the sleeping area as possible. Wet clothing gets hung near the dome top where rising warm air can dry it without dripping on the sleeping area. Food stays buried in the cold areas near the entrance to prevent spoilage while remaining accessible. Here is something clever about traditional igloo communities. They built connected tunnel systems between family igloos, creating underground neighborhoods that allowed movement between structures during blizzards. Some tunnel complexes included dedicated storage igloos, workshop areas, and even communal spaces. It is like a suburban subdivision, except the suburbs are made of snow, and the neighborhood associations actually help keep you alive. The tunnel construction requires as much skill as the igloos themselves. Proper depth prevents cold air from flowing between structures. Adequate width allows people to crawl through while carrying supplies. Strategic placement prevents structural weakness that could cause tunnel collapse. Some tunnel systems stretched for hundreds of yards, connecting entire communities during the harshest winter months. Modern materials can enhance traditional igloo construction without changing the fundamental principles. Reflective emergency blankets hung inside the dome can improve heat retention by up to 15%. Small battery-powered LED lights eliminate the fire risk of traditional oil lamps while providing illumination. A compact carbon monoxide detector adds safety insurance that traditional builders never had access to. The thermal dynamics of igloo heating create what engineers call thermal mass effects. The snow walls slowly absorb heat during the day and release it throughout the night, moderating temperature swings that could otherwise wake you up, or worse. This thermal battery effect means your igloo stays warm for hours after your heat source dies out, buying you time to restart heating or wait for rescue. But here is where things get serious about snow selection and timing. The best igloo building snow appears after sustained winds of 15 to 25 miles per hour. This creates the wind-pack density that holds together without crumbling. Fresh powder will not work. Old icy snow is too hard to cut and does not insulate properly. You are looking for that perfect middle ground that feels solid but not frozen solid. Temperature timing matters too. Ideal construction happens when outside air temperature sits between -10 degrees Fahrenheit and -25 degrees Fahrenheit. Warmer than that, and your blocks might melt during construction. Colder conditions make the snow brittle and difficult to work with. Plus, extremely cold temperatures make the construction process dangerous for the builder. Frostbite can set in during the 2 to 3 hours required for construction. Here's a trick that experienced builders swear by. Test your snow by standing on a fresh block. Good building snow supports your full weight without crumbling or compressing significantly. If your foot sinks in or the block crumbles, find different snow or wait for better conditions. Your life might depend on that structural integrity when you're sleeping underneath several tons of it. The spiral cutting technique requires practice to master, but it's the difference between a stable dome and a pile of expensive snow. Each block gets cut at a slight angle, creating the natural inward curve that makes the structure self-supporting. Cut straight blocks, and you'll never achieve a proper dome. The mathematics work out precisely, but traditional builders learned through hands-on experience rather than engineering calculations. Advanced builders create what they call keying systems, where specific blocks lock the entire structure together. Remove the wrong block, and the whole thing comes apart like a three-dimensional puzzle. But place the key blocks correctly, and the dome becomes nearly indestructible, even under heavy snow loads or strong winds. These techniques took generations to perfect and are not found in any survival manual. Safety protocols for igloo construction include always working with a partner, carrying emergency digging tools, and having backup shelter options available. Weather can change quickly in conditions where igloo building becomes necessary. Getting trapped outside in deteriorating conditions because your igloo collapsed is a potentially fatal scenario that proper preparation can prevent. The partnership aspects of construction cannot be overstated. One person cuts blocks while another fits them into position. This division of labor cuts construction time in half and ensures quality control that single builders cannot achieve. Traditional Inuit families worked as teams where each member had specific responsibilities developed through years of practice. Here is where emergency construction gets really challenging. Sometimes you need to build an igloo during active storms when visibility drops to inches and winds threaten to blow you away. Emergency protocols include rope systems that keep builders connected to each other and to the construction site. Work happens in short shifts to prevent hypothermia during the building process. The rhythm during emergency construction follows carefully developed patterns. 15 minutes of active building followed by 5 minutes of warming up inside whatever shelter you have completed so far. This prevents the builders from becoming casualties while trying to save themselves. As one Arctic guide put it, dead builders do not finish igloos. What most survival guides do not tell you about igloo living is the social component. Multiple people sharing a small space creates challenges that can escalate into life-threatening conflicts. Traditional families developed elaborate etiquette systems that prevented disputes from becoming dangerous. Everyone had designated spaces, specific responsibilities, and agreed-upon schedules for shared activities. The space management inside family igloos resembles choreography more than casual living. People move in patterns that maximize efficiency while minimizing conflicts over territory. Sleeping arrangements follow hierarchy and heat-sharing principles. Work areas get organized to prevent people from interfering with each other's activities. Even conversation follows patterns designed to maintain harmony in confined spaces. But all this engineering knowledge means nothing if you cannot actually build one when your life depends on it. The construction process cannot be learned from videos alone. Like riding a bicycle or swimming, igloo building requires muscle memory that only comes from hands-on practice. The difference is that falling off this particular bicycle might kill you. The practice requirements for reliable igloo construction include building multiple structures in various conditions, working with different snow types, constructing in different weather situations, and developing the physical conditioning needed for sustained cold weather work. Most traditional builders estimate requiring at least 50 practice igloos before achieving reliable competency. Modern training programs for igloo construction exist through military survival schools, outdoor education centers, and specialized Arctic training facilities. These courses emphasize both technical skills and judgment development, since knowing when not to attempt construction can be as important as knowing how to build properly. Here is the real secret that traditional Inuit passed down through generations. Igloo construction is not just about staying warm. It is about creating a complete life support system that provides shelter, food storage, workspace, and psychological comfort during months of Arctic darkness. The igloo becomes more than a house. It becomes a survival ecosystem that adapts to extreme conditions while supporting human life. The ecosystem concept extends beyond the physical structure. Traditional igloo communities developed social systems, resource-sharing networks, emergency response protocols, and cultural practices that supported group survival through extreme conditions. The igloo was just the foundation for a complete survival lifestyle that sustained Arctic peoples for thousands of years. Respect for traditional knowledge runs deep in igloo construction. These are not primitive shelters built by people who did not know better. These are sophisticated architectural solutions developed by cultures that survived and thrived in conditions that would kill most modern people within hours. The engineering principles behind igloo construction are now studied in university programs, and applied to modern cold weather architecture. Did you like learning about these incredible ice homes? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment what the next video should be about.